The usually bustling streets of Coronation Street were quiet for Sarah Barlow, née Platt. This week, as she faced every mother's worst nightmare, the possibility of losing her child. The shocking storyline unfolded when Sarah's daughter, Bethany Platt, found herself in grave danger after undergoing an unauthorized cosmetic procedure in Turkey, leaving her clinging to life. What should have been a routine trip quickly spiraled into a devastating ordeal, exposing the dark consequences of risky surgery abroad. It all started earlier this week when Daniel Osborne, Bethany's on and off partner, received alarming news that Bethany had contracted sepsis following a secret liposuction surgery in Turkey. Bethany, desperate to fix her perceived imperfections, had arranged for the surgery without informing her family, setting off a chain of tragic events. Sepsis, a life-threatening condition that can result from infection, had taken hold, and her life was on the line. The revelation shocked both Daniel and the Platt family, but the true horror was only just beginning. While Daniel immediately jetted off to Turkey to be by Bethany's side, Sarah was stuck in Weatherfield due to an expired passport. The bureaucratic nightmare only added to Sarah's sense of helplessness as she anxiously awaited updates from Daniel. For any mother, the distance between her and her suffering child was unbearable, amplifying Sarah's worry and frustration. At home, her brother David Platt was on a mission to figure out how this nightmare had come to pass. Suspicion fell on Debbie Webster, who had organized the trip under the pretense of a PR job for Bethany. However, Debbie denied knowing anything about Bethany's plans for cosmetic surgery. The confusion and miscommunication surrounding the trip left Sarah feeling increasingly powerless. Eventually, Sarah managed to make her way to Turkey in Wednesday's episode, only to be greeted with more devastating news. As she arrived at the hospital, she was horrified to learn from Daniel that Bethany's travel insurance was void because she had not disclosed that she was undergoing surgery. This meant that, until the entire medical bill was paid upfront, Bethany wouldn't be allowed to leave Turkey. The financial burden was immense: £15,000 for the surgery alone, and an additional £2,000 for each day Bethany remained hospitalized. With the weight of the situation falling squarely on her shoulders, Sarah's fear and frustration bubbled over. Her anxiety about Bethany's health mixed with anger at Daniel, whom she accused of keeping secrets and not being available when Bethany needed him most. Tensions ran high as Sarah questioned Daniel's loyalty after learning he had spoken with his ex-girlfriend Daisy right before Bethany's surgery. Although Daniel insisted he hadn't betrayed Bethany, Sarah lashed out, blaming him for her daughter's insecurities. "She is the most beautiful girl, but somehow she didn't think she was good enough. She was insecure about her body. And that's your fault?" Sarah snapped, her emotions raw and intense. The accusation hit hard, reflecting not just a mother's protectiveness, but also the deep guilt she carried for not being there when her daughter was struggling. As tensions between Sarah and Daniel reached a boiling point, the true gravity of Bethany's condition emerged. Sarah met with the doctors, who delivered devastating news. There had been significant damage to Bethany's bowel during the surgery, and as a result, she would need to be fitted with a stoma bag. The life-changing consequences of the botched operation meant Bethany would have to wear the stoma bag for the rest of her life. Returning to her daughter's bedside, Sarah faced the heart-wrenching task of explaining the situation to Bethany. "There was a lot of damage to your bowel," Sarah softly explained, her voice trembling. For Bethany, the news was almost too much to process. The surgery that was meant to make her feel more confident in her body had now left her with a permanent reminder of its failure. The final scene of the episode saw Bethany breaking down, her dreams of physical perfection shattered and replaced by a harsh new reality. Sarah, equally broken, tried her best to comfort her daughter, but the enormity of the situation was overwhelming. The emotional weight of the moment was palpable, as Sarah clutched her daughter and the two tried to make sense of the nightmare they had found themselves in. This heartbreaking storyline sheds light on the growing trend of cosmetic tourism, where individuals seek cheaper medical procedures abroad, often at the expense of safety. Bethany's decision to have secret liposuction in Turkey was born out of a deep-seated insecurity, an insecurity that is all too common in today's image-obsessed world. However, her story is a sobering reminder of the potential dangers these surgeries can pose, particularly when undertaken without proper consultation and preparation. For Sarah Barlow and Bethany Platt, the road ahead is uncertain. While Bethany has survived, the physical and emotional scars will last a lifetime. Sarah's guilt over not being there for her daughter in her time of need weighs heavily, and the tension between her and Daniel threatens to drive a wedge between them. As Coronation Street continues to tackle real-life issues, Bethany's ordeal serves as a powerful narrative on the pressures of body image and the devastating consequences of taking drastic measures to meet societal expectations. Fans will undoubtedly be watching closely as Bethany and Sarah navigate this life-altering event, hoping for healing and reconciliation amid the tragedy.